Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Friday, the 11th of October. All right, the Asian session well underway. And what have we got? Well, it's quite interesting because we had a very big, obviously, release yesterday, the US CPI numbers. Now, just having a look at the CPI numbers themselves, slightly weaker than expected. All right, so when you're looking at these numbers, you'd think, well, this is like a very important number for the overall scope of what's happening in the US and what the Fed are going to do. Slightly weaker, should push them into a bit more of a dovish situation. But what we saw on the markets themselves is a situation where the geopolitical events, and this is, once again, I keep saying it, it is our nemesis. These events down here were all chiming in. Now, the Chinese-US trade talks are underway. There's really positive outcomes looking at Brexit. So sterling up means US dollar down. And obviously the Trump impeachment proceedings looks like it's escalating with Rudy Giuliani sort of being brought into it. He runs the legal side of Trump, the ex-mayor of New York. Now, there's all sorts of talks of illegal funneling of money from Russians to US political candidates and all sorts of things. So that is just getting a much bigger nightmare for Trump. So with that, we're starting to see the US dollar lose all traction. Do they buy US dollars on a safe haven play, or do they sell US dollars on the slightly weaker US CPI? Now, that's the issue that we've had, and we are seeing a few weird things going on. So usually, like dollar Swiss, you'd expect that to sort of drift lower. Euro is going up. Dollar Swiss is tied to the hip with euro. It should go down, yet it's just slowly crept up as well. I think that's the safe haven sort of or unwinding, getting involved. I don't even know. Like dollar yen's higher. So things aren't exactly making a lot of sense, is sort of where I'm coming from. So when you come back and have a look at the, the general charts, I'll come to the charts. I'll show you the news in a second as well. It's a bit all over the place. So what we've got is situation is the Aussie and Kiwi have really sort of been neutralized as far as what's going on. Kiwi just trading through that resistance line. You can see the sort of price action sort of hanging on to that resistance line, but there's no momentum and no one really wants to buy Aussie and Kiwi. And it's the same for Euro, except Euro is breaking up above here. You can see the stop loss has been triggered above 110 now, but you know what? There's no real levels in Euro for a fair bit. So it's really, and I've discussed this with the traders in the workshops. This is where a short squeeze is really set up. If we start to see a little bit more dollar weakness, right, Euro shouldn't go up, but it will go up because the market's short, and it's pretty much primed for a bit of a short squeeze here, particularly on Euro. It could come through on the Kiwi as well. Aussie's got to get above 68 cents before it happens. Overall, these three pairs are going down, but you know what? The way the current market's set up, it's just a little bit iffy. So you have to keep an eye on that. Now, sterling, it's not exactly the odd one out, but there is a real chance of a positive outcome with a deal. Looks like the Northern Ireland minister and Ireland, they had a big meeting. They're talking about some sort of agreement on what's going to happen there on the border. And that has made and that was the whole thing slowing down Theresa May, right? So if that deal does eventuate, you can see sterling back at 126, 128, 130, I reckon within, before October 31st. That's how sort of big this is. Market massively short. This thing jumps up 200 points. It's all geopolitical. It's hard to trade, but that's exactly what's happening. Dollar CAD, you would think nothing is happening, but dollar CAD will come into play predominantly with the Canadian employment data today. And dollar yen sort of back in the range, just hanging around. It's just sort of flushing traders in and out, day traders. Wait for the opportunity to eventuate. Now, just coming back to give you a quick look at the news so you can sort of see what the hell is going on there. This is where they're talking about sterling, right? Potential hope of a deal with Brexit. And then you've got these US trade talks. So you got to keep a very close eye on that. Now, Trump's been very quiet on that front, and this is obviously all to do with the his impeachment and all these laws he's been breaking, and apparently reckons he's immune to because he's the president. These are going to escalate And ECB minutes, well, you know what? There's a bit of a rift there. I mean, Draghi's coming to the end of his era, and a few barbs being thrown at him saying that, you know, his ultra ease policy is really making the Eurozone underperform. So I don't know how that's going to work because you can't do anything else there. So that's where we are. US inflation numbers tame. And so we're back to the sort of drawing board, waiting for the key fundamentals to kick into gear. Now, this is the whole sort of crux of the matter. The market conditions at the moment, well, you know, if we're looking at those, the geopolitics are clouding the fundamental drivers, right? So there's really sort of short-term weird sort of moves going on, and that's what we've been experiencing for some time. Now, coming back to what will impact the market and provide some potential momentum, Canadian employment numbers, and then if you're really desperate, well, you know what, the prelim University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers, a really solid number, comes in a couple of hours before the close of markets. I don't know if it's going to really give us too much, but we'll see how it goes. These geopolitical events are very hot at the moment. They are starting to continue to burn. So just be aware the direction is going to come from those, not from the fundamentals. Of course, the Canadian numbers will provide short-term direction if there's significant variance, but don't fall in love with the positions. You know, if you see 30, 40, 50 points, you're almost likely to bag it and walk away and count yourself lucky. That's the way the markets are at the moment. All right, guys, that's it from me. Bit of a roundup. Enjoy your Friday and enjoy your weekend. Now, for those traders already planning for next week, we've got a short week next week. We've got Thanksgiving on Monday in the US and Canada. There's also a holiday in Japan. So if you haven't already factored it in, you might want to book a round of golf or walk the dog, go surfing, whatever you do socially. Don't count Monday as a big day because there's not a hell of a lot coming up, first of all. But the good thing is the rest of the week is very solid with a whole range of high impacting numbers across the board. You can have a look through that as well if you just scroll through the calendar there. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll catch you later on. Cheerio.